All right, so we are working on another problem where we are going to add rational numbers, but we have a word problem. And so Dominic wants to, well, he's riding his bike on a new path from his house to school today. He accidentally starts out going in the wrong direction for 2/5 of a mile. He turns around and he rides his bike 2.3 miles before he finally arrives at school. How many miles is the new route from Dominic's house to the school? All right. So the first thing we need to pull out is the numbers that make sense in this problem that we need to know about. We also need to identify which operation we're using. So we know that we're adding the combined total in order for us to figure out how many miles his school is, his new route is from the school. So the first number that I see is 2/5. Okay. So we see 2/5. So we're going to write 2/5. But remember, he was going in the wrong direction. So we're going to make that negative. So remember, we can have positive and negative values. And basically, we can still set it up as an addition problem. But what happens is what we're saying is we're going in the opposite direction of the positive side. So that's what we're comparing it to. So for this one, we have 2/5, but he was going in the wrong direction. So we're going to put a negative in front of that to let us know he was going in the wrong direction. And we are going to add in the correct direction, which was 2.3. So what I notice is number one, we have a fraction and we have a decimal. So I want to see first, can we convert this into maybe a decimal? So remember, that's the first thing we want to look at. I know my fifths, and I know that fifths are counted by 20s, right? So this is going to be zero point 0.4. And if you want to, you can plug that in, but this is going to be a terminating decimal. So because it is a terminating decimal, we can just convert that into trying to write that down. We can just turn this into a decimal instead of working with a fraction. Okay, so I'm going to turn this into its decimal equivalent, which is negative zero point 0.4. Now, so remember, if you plug in 2, ABC, 5, you can always turn it into a positive or negative. Go back and forth by hitting this plus minus button here. So that's minus 2/5. Hit the second button, hit the backspace, and now you have negative zero point 0.4, which is what I have. Remember that you can also use the calculator and you can just plug in division. So 2 divided by 5, right? And we want to turn that into a negative. So it's the same thing. And then we're going to add in the 2.3. Okay. And so if we add those two together, well, remember, we're going in different directions. Okay. So this part is going to be important for us to remember. We're going in different directions. So you can actually rewrite this problem, right? Where you have your positive number 2.3 minus, because this is a positive 2.3, even if we don't see a plus sign in front of it, remember it's positive unless it's stated with a negative sign. So we can turn this into a subtraction problem. And now I'm just going to move the negative zero point 0.4 right here. Okay, so now it looks like a subtraction problem. And so now you just subtract. So when you're adding or subtracting with decimals, the important thing is to make sure that your decimals are lined up. And so if we go and do this, 3 minus 4, I can't do. So I'm going to borrow from the 2, turn that into a 1, and now this becomes 13. 13 minus 4 gives me 9. 1 minus 0 gives me 1. And remember, your decimal still needs to go on in line straight up. So what we have is 1.9 miles. Okay. So he is 1.9 miles away if we're talking about it in terms of a decimal. If you wanted to talk about it in terms of a fraction, we could also do that. So it will be 1 and 9. And what's our place value that we're looking at? Tenths, right? So 9/10. Okay. So either one of those is going to get you the right answer.